Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're here this morning. Got a big show lined up. Special guest here. But first, let's take a look at our weather, brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning. Drew Pollard and hard-working crew taking care of our everyday comfort needs. Looking at a high today of 78, a low of 58, water temperature 72. I mean, just a perfect day. Looking at the river reading, brought to us by Panama City Coca-Cola. I love those Sprites and those Coca-Colas on occasion. That's the only thing we drank when we were kids was Coca-Cola. So I just want to let them know how much we appreciate their sponsorship. The Apalachicola Punchtown still at a 1.4. It's steady. Take a look at the Choctaw at Caryville, 1 foot even. And you know we go over every day about just being careful on that low water, but also enjoy the uniqueness of it being this low this time of year. Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. Neat tides, not a lot of tide going on. Today, November the 8th, and you can see the rest of the next 4 days, not much tidal flow, but next week it's going to be ripping. So we're going to, hopefully next week will be some really good fishing, some good fishing reports. Wind, almost negligible, coming out of south about 8 to 9. All right, let's take our break. We'll be right back with our guest. Okay, welcome back, and welcome back to Travis.
Good morning, sir.
Good to have you. We've been sort of deployed, and we've been talking about it. We'll get to that later, but I know we're always talking, Travis. How you been doing?
Doing good, staying busy, trying to always keep that balance of, family life, work, and everything else. So, like I said, was out of town for a little bit, but good to be back in the Panhandle.
I know you are. Like I said, we're going to talk about that later, but you were able to get back home, and you've been taking the kids. We talk about this all the time about the balance, and we all have that challenge between working and doing outdoor things and doing family things and all. But we're going to do the family things first, okay?
Sure,
so
yeah, that's most
great
important.
Pictures. That's exactly right. So tell us some what a fine fish.
That was on. Now, shout out to my neighbor, Levi Phillips. He always lets us come down. The kids have been catching fish on his docks and say we're old enough to stand really and hold a rod. Now, this is some friends of ours, and the two girls in here, besides Belle and Wyatt, I know you used to seeing them as Charlotte and Emma Chintaricki.
Okay.
And they're from New Hampshire, and they came down one of the first few times they were able to go fishing, and she caught that really nice brim there. That's Charlotte.
From New Hampshire, okay.
Yep, they actually live right up there around Dartmouth, which is at the college up there on the border of New Hampshire and Vermont. And there's a group photo here. This is Charlotte and Emma, and then of course Bella and Wyatt, and that was Bella's, I think that was her first bass she caught right there. And then there's Mr. Levi Phillips there behind us.
That's a fine bass right there. But look at the big thing to me, the big old grins and smiles they have on their faces. They're happy, aren't they?
Oh, they got excited. Yeah, they had a great time down there.
Okay.
And then there's Bella, proud of her fish there.
That is a pretty fish.
She did good. So yeah, and we just had so many good memories down there fishing on Levi's dock, and he's always been so generous to let us come down there.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to Levi because he's that kind of guy. He likes to share and get young people over there, and he's been successful.
Exactly. They've caught all kinds of fish off that dock over the years. So
talking about doing things with kids and all, tell us about this one.
So what we did afterwards. We kind of and there's my wife Nicole, and that's our friend Jen. But anyway, so we had the kids, and we did something that we did years ago on the show, which is called Gayutaku or fish printing. And that was something that was started over in Asia before photographs, where you actually preserve there's the fish down there. He's kind of been painted blue. Okay. But we had a couple of them. So what you do is, you clean your fish off, dry it off, and then you paint the fish and you pin the fins out. And then you can take anything. A lot of times you take rice paper or thin paper. You can take construction paper. On this, what the kids did is they all made a shirt. So they got like a white shirt from Hobby Lobby.
Okay.
And then you take the shirt and you actually press the shirt on the contours of the fish, and then it prints your actual fish. So you can have a shirt or piece of art with your actual fish that you caught. And that's what they did. And all the kids made a shirt there after.
How about that? What a great memory.
Sure.
I remember we did it several years back. She came and talked about it, and I still have one of the ones she did, and it's on a thin piece of paper. And,
Yes, sir.
But we need to get her to come back on the show.
Oh, that'd be great.
And talk about this, because what a fun thing to do with those kids.
And you can do it with any type of fish. I mean, that was just a brim. We've done a snapper come out really good too. Anything that has really pronounced, predominant scales do really good. But we've done it with pompano, sheep's head, snapper, redfish. We've got one that we actually framed that was a slot red. So you kind of have that memory, and then you kind of do the art with it. And the kids love it because they're painting. And you can make it look natural, like the colors of the fish, or you can make it rainbow. You can do whatever you want, like the kids like.
This is
bright
another
colors.
unique way of getting the kids involved in the outdoors.
Exactly. And then when you get done, you can just you rinse the fish off, and then you put it back in the cooler and clean it, and you can still eat the fish.
Okay.
So a lot of people ask that, but yeah, so that was a great time, and there's some really good friends of ours, and that was the kids getting out there, and just we talk about how it's so important to pass on hunting and fishing to the next generation, and making it fun for the kids, which they really enjoyed. And like I say, Levi's been a big part of that, because right down the road you can go and he has them chummed up pretty good to where they can catch them, and we turn most of them loose, and we let that bass go too.
Yeah.
That was caught on the dock. So
well, that's good. Thank you, Levi, for doing those kind of things. I know a lot of you other folks do that. Take people to the ponds and other places and all. That's good stuff.
Absolutely. And I remember growing up as a kid, I started on Deer Point, catching brim and shellcracker, and then bass, and then that led to really having a passion for saltwater fishing later on. But anyways, that was a lot of fun. And then, like you said, I know we had a question, and I don't know if you want to talk about it or what you want to.
I'll tell you what, we're going to take an early break, come back. We have so much to cover today. We're going to take an early break and be right back. Okay, welcome back. As we said, part of the FWC personnel that were deployed to Texas and all, and Travis was part of that group. So you have a couple of pictures, and right here, let's talk about this, Travis. What about these guys right here?
All right, so yeah, and that's earlier in the month, or excuse me, last month in October, we were deployed, and Florida Fish and Wildlife, as well as the Highway Patrol, have been sending officers over to assist Texas Department of Public Safety with the border and border security. And this is just a picture here we took. I think this was last day.
Yeah.
We were in Eagle Pass, Texas, which is like south central Texas, and that was FWC and the Texas Troopers, but they have a special, what they call a TMU, or a Tactical Marine Unit, and that's who we worked with, running the airboats on the Rio Grande pretty much every day.
Okay.
And assisting them with the border security down there.
And you said those guys are a lot like us here, a lot of outdoor guys.
Very similar. And I'll tell you, the people in Texas, they were very, very nice.
Yeah.
Everywhere we went, I don't care if it was at a gas station, a restaurant, even at a red light, they were rolling down the windows saying, "Hey, thank you for being here, and thank you for your help and support." So Texas guys, great group of guys there, and very similar to FWC. So.
And the Rio Grande, right?
And there's the Rio Grande. I just figured a few pictures. That's kind of what you think about, the high cliffs.
That's pretty.
That's looking at the Mexico side there, and then the U.S. side, depending on where you were, it was either cliffs or sometimes some of that cane. But very pretty, and you think it was kind of some parts of what I thought about, and then. When you think about the Rio Grande and big ranches and cattle, and it's really an oasis for wildlife too. We had a front come through. There were blue-winged teal all over the river, mottled ducks, every type of wading bird you can imagine. Several different types of kingfishers. I mean, you got to think it's cactus and rolling hills and desert almost, and brush, and then you come to this water, so it attracts all this wildlife. So it was pretty cool to see all that, and then parts of it were really clear.
Really?
Too. Yep. And swift moving river.
Okay.
So pretty cool down there. Pretty cool experience. I'd been to Texas before, but I'd never been down to the border.
Yeah.
So, and again, we were working Eagle Pass area, and Del Rio, that south central Texas area.
Okay, I know that was a challenge, but I know you were glad to get back home too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was like I think 2 weeks we were down there.
Okay.
So it was pretty long deployment, but again, those guys in Texas, they were really good to work with, and the people there are super nice.
That's cool. That's cool. So we got you got a list of questions and all. So let's see. What do you want to cover first?
Well, I know, Coach and I had talked the other day, I think it was last week,
Yeah.
and there was a question about deer season, and we know archery has come in. We're going to have General Gun coming in Thanksgiving for the 4 days around that weekend. But there was a question about, hey, some people were able to take deer earlier, and I actually talked with Shelby Williams, our captive wildlife investigator here in our area for the region, and especially in the Panama area. Anyways, he told me, so if you're on a licensed hunting preserve, then the season dates are different, and they have certain requirements. There's licensed hunting preserves, and then there's game farms. The hunting preserves are just that, they're for hunting, and then the game farms are more for like raising deer and different game. But to make a long story short, whitetail season on one of these hunting preserves starts August 1st.
August 1st.
And runs through March 1st.
Wow.
So I know you had a question on
Yeah,
that.
one of the viewers asked that question, when's the season on that, because they're seeing some game and all. And you gave me a question a while ago, and how many preserves are in the Florida Panhandle? Or,
Yeah, roughly in the Northwest region.
Well,
which is the
I
Panhandle.
say, he said, guess, Coach. I'm saying, I'm thinking 5, 6, maybe 10 at the most.
Right.
How many do we have?
Approximately 300 is what Investigator Williams told me, and that it kind of blows your mind. You don't realize it's from basically Jefferson County to Escambia.
300. Mm-hmm. So you got 300 places people can start hunting August the 1st, technically.
Well, some of those, most of them. If they have for whitetails.
Okay.
Now, some of them might be for your resident game birds, like quail and turkey and things like that. But most of them are for deer.
Yeah.
And they can start August 1st, and they can use any legal method, which includes your high-powered rifles, muzzleloaders, things like that.
Yeah.
Now, one other caveat to that, for the native resident game birds, it's October 1st through April 20th, and that's for like your quails mainly,
Right.
what you see. But anyways, so yeah, just a little bit of information. So if you see something, whether it be on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever, the deer could have came from a licensed hunting preserve, and they can get started during that time. And there's different requirements too. They can't be more than 2,000 acres when we talk about the hunting preserves and the game farms. And there's certain fencing requirements. Now and one thing too on that season, that's for whitetail, because some of these bring in exotic big game, and there's different fencing requirements and
Well, can you hunt those exotic
rules and regulations.
So
So the exotics, they don't fall into that season.
okay.
That's just for your whitetails, and then the other one for the resident, the native game birds, basically.
Well, we got that cleared up.
So because
that's a good question.
And I know that's common knowledge that people bring in exotic game. There's different rules and regulations with that, but they don't apply on these seasons here. So, anyways, just information I wanted to give out because you had a question on it, and I thought that was pretty eye opening too, that we had that many in the Northwest region.
I never would have guessed that many.
And that's one thing that Investigator Shelby Williams does. He's our captive wildlife. We have one for the Pensacola area, one for Panama, and one for Tallahassee.
Okay.
So there's 3 in the region, but they inspect these hunting preserves and game farms and make sure they're up to date on their license, following the rules and regs, the fencing requirements, as well as all these other facilities that have captive wildlife, including Zoo World and people that have pets that have to follow these rules and regulations. So, anyways, he stays busy. I can tell you.
I bet he does.
He stays really busy going and keeping up with all these facilities. And
we'll try to get him on the show one morning and talk about some of these things.
He's a wealth of knowledge, and he's got some pretty cool stories
That'd be
too.
Good.
So, but anyways, so I mean, pretty good to kind of outline that, and then of course, I want to talk about briefly. We had archery come in, seeing some people have some success there. We're going to have General Gun come in. Now, one thing I wanted to mention briefly, because I've got a lot of questions, at the gas station and wherever on this. There was an executive order. We talked about CWD, the chronic wasting disease. We have that CWD zone that we talked about, I think, last time on the show. But part of that implementation of a plan and response by FWC and Ag and everybody involved there, you can take an antlerless deer anytime during the open season in DMU2, which is north of I-10. So north of I-10, and the map is online. You go to myfwc.com, click on hunting regulations. But you can take an antlerless deer anytime during the open season until you max out with your max of 2 for the year.
Okay.
That deer still needs to be harvest reported and all that.
Yeah.
But it won't be a quote unquote what we're used to seeing with a doe day. So you could take an antlerless deer anytime during the open season in DMU2.
In that area right there.
Correct.
That's new now. It never happened before, really.
Right. No, it hasn't. And that's part of the CWD response. Taking more and then increasing sampling is part of their goal on that. So I want to get that out. We've had a lot of questions on that when it first came out. So as we're getting into it, it'd be gun season before I come back on the show. I just wanted to communicate that to everybody. Still do your harvest reporting, but you don't have to follow quote unquote doe days because any day during the open season would technically be one.
All right, we'll take our final break. We'll be right back with Travis. Okay, welcome back. Let's look at our fishing game times today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe. Our time, 7:05 to 9:05 this morning, and this evening, 7:24 to 9:24. We got this short little video of Bella catching a bass right here. Let's see. What we got right here?
This is the bass in the picture here.
Okay.
Yep, she had reeled him in, and then I helped get it there on the dot, but she was so excited. I don't know if there's any audio there, but she was.
I could hear the audio earlier, but she was
all
excited.
The kids were super excited.
Look at there. Here's 5.
Yeah.
So those kids up from New Hampshire, they'll have a story to tell when they get back to New Hampshire about all the fishing down here in Florida.
They will.
Okay, so we got a case of the month, or you got other stuff you want to go over first, or you want to go to case of the month?
We can do case of the month.
This is interesting. Call that officer. I'm gonna go ahead and mention his name, Matt Gore, one of the former outdoor ed alumni, and he did a big thing on this case.
He did an outstanding job, and so this came in as a complaint. We always talk about, if you see something, say something. We've talked about wildlife alert. Give us a call, even if you think it might not be a violation, if you think there's a chance it could be. Give us a call. It doesn't hurt anything. We can look into it. But basically, he received a complaint, looked into it. And I'll kind of go over some of the things. A little press release here I'll read, but the amount of charges on these 2 individuals and the amount of poaching they were doing here in the Panhandle was really eye-opening once it was really investigated. So again, I want to recognize Officer Matt Gore. Did an outstanding job on this. There were some other people involved, including some other FWC officers and investigators, but this was Matt Gore's case. And he did the legwork and the investigative work on here and did a great job. So basically on May 4th, received a complaint related to the illegal take of deer and bobcat and Florida black bear. Based on the information provided, FWC obtained search warrants for, and I'm going to read this, and I'll probably mess up the name, excuse me if I do, but Elijah Quaranta and William Quaranta, their property in Bay County and Gulf County. So the warrants were simultaneously executed back on September 20th. In the weeks following the search, FWC officers conducted interviews, reviewed the evidence, and worked both with the Jackson and Gulf County State Attorney's Office to file charges. Now, I'm going to read some of these charges, and not them all, but the main thing that you see here that is the illegal take of Florida black bear. And we've talked about black bears a lot. I know they've been in the news a lot lately, but they are protected species in Florida and you can't take them. So the illegal take of black bear, illegal possession of Florida black bear, taking deer at night with a gun and light, the illegal take of antlerless deer, willful and wanton waste of wildlife, taking deer by illegal method, possession of marine turtles, possession of alligator skins, possession of alligator, snapping turtle, it goes on and on. But when it came to the deer and the bear, a lot of people are familiar with, basically what was happened is these bear were killed in Florida, and then the defendants here were trying to claim that some of the bears were killed in Georgia, where they have a season, and basically tried to falsify records saying that they were Georgia bear when they were actually killed in Florida. So really alarming that these people were able to do this, but really I'm just wanting to recognize again the good job that Matt Gore did as well as the other officers involved to hold these people accountable. Yeah. And this was going on over years of doing this. And again, like we always talk about, when you do something illegally as it pertains to wildlife, whether it be these deer at night or the bears, you're taking away from people that are trying to do it legally when it comes to the bear, and then to take away, with the deer. And when it comes to the bears, they're protected. So we just, you can't take them. So anyways, great job by Matt and everybody involved on this.
And it goes back to one of our citizens seeing something and said something, and that's what you're talking about. And
Right.
And you see these lights at night or something, give them a call out in the field. I know y'all are so good about responding. So, all right.
Absolutely. So, it just again, great work by Matt and everybody involved there on that. And then one more thing, I know because we just get so many questions, and then we'll wrap up. Just got so much information. I always try to get out to the public.
Yeah, that's good.
One thing too, and I'll be on one more time, but all deer harvested December 9th and 10th. Okay, so when that comes in, that second weekend in December, in Holmes, Jackson, and Washington counties shall be checked at a staffed FWC check station prior to transporting the deer to the possessor's domicile or processor or taxidermist, except deer harvested on licensed game farms or hunting preserves, which you talked about earlier. We'll go over that again before that date comes in. So we talked about how you're going to check those deer in and where you can do that. But I just wanted to read that as part of that executive order that I'd left off earlier. So just want to communicate that. And we'll have time to talk again before that date comes. So.
Okay.
But anyways, and I'll get Jeff to put up the number again if you see a sick or a thin deer or one demonstrating unusual behavior. You can call our 866 CWD watch number so we can get either an officer or a biologist out there to assess that animal.
I know the task force has been put together and all. Everybody's working on it diligently, and it's just a week by week thing is what we're doing. But if you see one run over or something too, let them know about that.
Absolutely, yep. And again, we'll put that number on the screen. But just like that case, we need your help on monitoring this CWD. And thankfully, as of now, we don't have any more positive cases that have any more samples that have tested positive. But we need to continue to be diligent in the efforts and make sure they're continuing to test. So, on the fishing thing, have you heard about pompano or anything?
It's been average, and all what's been amazing has been the snook over in Choctawhatchee Bay. There's been 4 different people catch snook in Choctawhatchee Bay, and we've talked about it on the show. I've told people about it, they just shake their head. But we've caught something like Wimico in the past. But we're going to run out of time. But next time you're on, we'll get caught up on all our fishing.
Sure.
And we always appreciate you coming on.
Yes,
Travis,
sir.
Appreciate what
Thanks
you do.
for having me.
Appreciate you going out to Texas, helping those guys out, and
Yes,
all you cohorts and co-workers. Folks, thank y'all for watching Panhandle Outdoors. We appreciate your viewership. Do something good for someone else today. Enjoy outdoors and take care of it, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.